Hey, I'm here at Ferris Bueller's house to solve the mystery of what happened to the real Abe Froman. Looks like Ferris finally got that car.
Movie mysteries.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off is about a high school senior who decides on a typical spring day that it's too beautiful a day to waste it in school. So he decides he's going to feign an illness and ditch. But Ferris is not like a normal kid. Typically when you take a day off school, you sleep in, you watch The Price is Right, you play Nintendo. Maybe if you really want to treat yourself, you go to McDonald's. Ferris recruits his girlfriend and his best friend. They steal a Ferrari, they drive downtown, and they do all the most fun, amazing things that you could do in the city of Chicago in one day. And then when it's time for lunch, he doesn't go to no McDonald's. Ferris wants to go to a 5-star French restaurant. And of course, he doesn't have a reservation, so they walk in, and he sees that the maitre d' has been called away. So he looks through the reservation book, and he finds a reservation for 3 people for 12 o'clock under the name Abe Froman. So when the maitre d' comes back, Ferris says, "I'm Abe Froman," and the maitre d' doesn't believe him because he's a teenager and because Abe Froman is the sausage king of Chicago. And Ferris wasn't expecting that. He doesn't think through all his plans. Sometimes he just does stuff and expects it to work out. And for one of the few times in the movie, we see him get a little rattled and get aggressive. So he improvises another scam that's even riskier than the first one, where he grabs the phone and says he's calling the police. And using the restaurant's multi-line phone system, he figures out another scam to convince the maitre d' that he is Abe Froman. They get the table, and they get to have lunch there. And then the story continues. But that leaves one question. After Ferris successfully pulls the Abe Froman trick, what happens to the real Abe Froman? The one who actually made the reservation for 3 people at 12 o'clock at Shea Key. The movie never answers this. So I did some research. I watched the movie with commentary. I read the screenplay by John Hughes. I read the novelization by Todd Strasser. None of these materials explained what happened to the real Abe Froman. And sadly, we can no longer ask John Hughes. It's entirely possible that he never even came up with an official explanation. So we have to look at the clues and solve the mystery. And that's what I did. The way I see it, there's 3 explanations. The first 2 are wrong, the third is correct. Explanation 1, the real Abe Froman just doesn't show up. For whatever reason, he doesn't keep his reservation. Now, the difference between the characters of Ferris and Cameron is that Cameron worries about everything, and so he does nothing. And Ferris worries about nothing, and so he does everything. And what I like about explanation 1 is that it rewards Ferris's life philosophy. Don't worry about it. Just do the fun thing that you want to do. Enjoy life. And then if something goes wrong, you just deal with it at that time. But maybe nothing bad will happen. So I like it for that reason. But I don't like it because it's a little too convenient. And so it's kind of lazy writing. So I don't think that's what it is. Explanation 2. The real Abe Froman shows up, but the maitre d' thinks that Ferris is the real Abe Froman, so he turns away the real Abe Froman, and then the real Abe Froman just leaves because he doesn't need to eat here. He's the sausage king of Chicago. He can do whatever he wants. And I like this explanation because it's clean and it makes sense. But I don't like it because it's not funny, so it's not good. And then there's explanation 3. But in order to explain explanation 3, I have to talk about another fun-loving, charismatic 80s icon from a little movie and book called American Psycho. Patrick Bateman is a yuppie. He works on Wall Street. He's obsessed with image and trends and empty posturing and hedonism. He's the embodiment of 80s excess. Him and Scarface. He's also a psychotic serial killer. But the upper class world he lives in is so superficial and oblivious and grotesque that a bloodlusting monster could live among them and no one would notice. And the whole movie, Patrick is just killing people and doing all this terrible behavior, but he never has to face any consequences. Because whenever he does or says something disagreeable, the people around him just ignore it or invent some other reasonable explanation for it so that they never have to deal with it. And this just continues to the point where, like, at the end, you're not even sure if all that stuff has been happening or if it's all been in his head. And that's the key to explanation 3 and the solution to the mystery of what happened to the real Abe Froman. The real Abe Froman showed up and the maitre d' realized that he had 2 Abe Fromans. But as we saw from the earlier scene, the maitre d' doesn't want there to be ugliness. So he sat the second Abe Froman at a different table and just went on with his day. Because privileged, bougie snobs will do anything to avoid confronting unpleasantness. And that's it. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs down. Remember to give that subscribe button the old tippity tap. Share this video with your friends, because I just solved like a 30-year-old mystery. And if you have a movie mystery you want solved, drop it in the comments. And I could tell you if the events of American Psycho actually happened or not. You as the audience don't know, and that's deliberate, you know, both the book and the movie kind of keep it ambiguous. But I don't know, maybe you don't want to know, maybe it's spoilers. So if you don't want to know, look away. If you do want to know, just keep watching the screen and I'll tell you visually in 3, 2, 1. That is the real answer. Sorry if you don't like it, but if you want me to go into all the details, just leave a comment and maybe I'll make a video on that. You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.